Hi guys, this is Judd here, yet again bringing you another music theory tutorial for noobs. And this one's going to be about triads, and specifically triad inversions. I'm just going to say right off that today seems to be a particularly noisy day. Lots of birds out that are making an insane noise out front, and also my dog happens to be chewing on her feet relentlessly, as this is the allergy season for that, I guess. So my apologies for any of that noise. Okay, so I've provided links in the description, website links. This is FL Studio 12. If you don't know what it is, it's a DAW that is my primary DAW. And if you're interested, I have an affiliate link down in the description. You can get 10% off FL Studio. But that said, any of the information that I'm giving you today is definitely able to be applied in any other DAW. So on to it. Triads, inversions, that kind of thing. Why don't we start with root position. When we have something that is known to be in root position, it is a closed voicing. And for example, we're going to go with C. Okay, a C major triad. Out of the 8 notes that you would possibly have in a major scale, 7 that are unique, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you have a triad, it's 1, 3, 5. And in root position, it is 1, 3, 5. And it sounds like this. That one right next to it, that's D minor in root position. So I'm not going to do all the triads. I guess when I do this, I shouldn't talk while I'm playing the audio. Genius. Okay, so there's C major and there's D minor, both in root position. Okay. Now, what inversions are, it's as if you took one of you took the lowest note in the triad and you're just moving it up. This note right here in C, C, E, G, you're taking C, the lowest note, and you're moving it up an octave. So now it has a different sound to it. So rather than mess with that, I'm going to go over here. And when you do that, it is called first inversion. A little bit of a different sound than root position. Okay, here's the D minor. Now, if you're wondering, well, why C major and D minor? The diatonic triads in C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major again. So I just did one major one and one minor one so you could know what those actually sounded like. Here's C major, first inversion. So again, with the D minor, just to kind of illustrate what happened there, in D minor we have D, F, and A, and what I did was I took the lowest note, D, and put it up an octave. It would be as if you took that note and shifted it by 1 octave, so then it looks like this. That's what we get. C major, first inversion. And that's D minor, first inversion. Second inversion, you guessed it, we took the very next note that was lowest and put that up by 1 octave. In the C major, the C, E, G, we took the E and put it up an octave. So now it sounds like this. That's actually probably one of my favorites. It puts the third of the chord on top. It rings a certain way that I happen to love. There's D minor, second inversion. And that also sounds nice. You actually hear this kind of thing pretty often. It sounds good. Okay, so there we are with that. So you're probably wondering, well, how can I actually put this to use in some valuable way? because knowing the theory of it doesn't necessarily make it so you can write a, you know, it's not going to help you write a track or something like that. How do I put this to good use? Here's how you put it to good use. You know, when I'm making these videos, I have a tendency to just salivate in a pretty unnatural way. It's if you get a lot of mouth noises, just ignore it. Yeah. Okay, so putting this in, yeah, it's just an amazing amount of saliva that my mouth seems to be producing. It could be that I just also had a root canal last week, my first one ever. Awesome. For those of you who love sweets, you're screwed. Okay, so here's, in my last video, I was talking about this particular chord progression known as a 1-5-6-4. Okay, so a 1-5-6-4, those are all diatonic chords. I'm talking about the triads in C major. They all are owned by C major. And that works out to be a C chord, a G chord, an A minor chord, and an F chord. Now, what I'm going to do, I have that progression lined up right here, okay? These are all in root position. And I wrote possibly lame. And that, what I mean by that is, yeah, it could be possibly lame, although I can tell you on certain dance hits and pop tracks, I've actually heard this kind of thing. So does it mean it's lame? No. Does it, you know, it could possibly be lame if you were voicing this for like traditional, like classical instruments or something. Lame. It'll just sound awful. It'll sound not good. Okay, so if you're voicing this in a synth that has multiple layerings of octaves and all sorts of overtones, this will sound great. Here's what possibly lame sounds like. This is a 1-5-6-4. C, G, A minor, F. Some people might be thinking, well, that sounds like the best thing I ever heard. Well, it probably isn't, but it could possibly be lame. Here's a little bit better usage of inversions. So what I'm doing here, I'm taking the same progression, and then I've turned it into C major, first inversion, G major, second inversion, A minor, second inversion, and F in root position. And this is what you get. And for wondering, well, that maybe didn't sound as striking as the other one. This particular thing, this is a traditional harmony concept, so does it apply to every synth you're ever going to play? No. And I brought this up in my last video. Common tones. If you keep common tones between chords, and you're also moving voices, this one note that's known as a voice, if you're moving voices to the closest note possible, the least amount of movement possible, chances are you're going to get a really tight chord voicing. And that's always a good thing and healthy for your ear. Because something like this just jumps all over the place. So one more time through this. You could have voiced that any number of ways, but that one, I think, sounds a little tighter than the possibly lame version. So you have common tones here, common tones here, common tones here. One note moved, and it actually sounds pretty cool when only one note moves, whereas if you had this, those kind of sound disjointed, like that sound, this one. Let me let you hear it and not talk at the same time. That chord jumps amazingly. Like what I try to do with a lot of the harmony I write, if I'm writing for something that is trying to be very melodic, keeping things within an octave that keeps the voicings tight. It usually sounds pretty good. So I think that's all I'm going to offer you today. I certainly hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time around.